when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis and Jared Dubois, and my kid's voice back in the intro, because that's how it was supposed to be.
Nice. We were on the bonus pre-show before the game the other day. We had my kid trying to make attempts at it, but none of them were quite as good as the class.
No, on the Zoom, yeah, they were working at it. Your youngest does have a very cute voice. He does.
Yeah,
he does have a way about him, but it did not happen. For anybody who's wondering, for the last couple shows, after we mixed it up, Sean Connery passed away. Felt like the right time to retire the old intro. I know some people were upset by that. We went with this. I actually do like what he says better than the Sean Connery intro. And it was pointed out my kid wasn't in it anymore. My kid going, and some people don't even know that was my kid going back now 8 years or whatever it was. And so I did some work, Jared. I'm an audio engineer. I do those things sometimes.
Wait, what are we paying Nick for then?
That's a good question. Nicholas Soup and Sausage with us as always. And we may have to pull him in shortly, Jared, because the big news domestically, and we're going to talk Americans abroad, and we'll get into some other stuff, but the big news domestically is the MLS Cup final. Congratulations to the Columbus Crew, champions of Major League Soccer in 2020. They put an absolute ass whooping on Seattle, Jared. Like, there was no doubt.
That's one of the more entertaining and authoritative MLS Cups I remember in quite some time.
Yeah, when's the last time somebody put a beat down on the other team in a final?
I don't remember last time, dude. They always were pretty close, and they're usually pretty close through halftime. But as soon as that early goal happened, I'm not sure how it was, maybe like 15 minutes in. I don't recall now at this point what time that goal was. But at that moment, I was like, okay, that's 25th. What I want from 25th. That's what I want from a final, though. Like, force something to happen. At that point, it's like, okay, Seattle's got to come play. That's going to open up the style of play. And props to the Columbus Crew.
Yeah.
Didn't back down, attacked the entire game.
There was a built-in excuse for Columbus. They entered that game with the big news that Darlington Nagbe and Pedro Santos were going to miss the match because of COVID-19 positive tests. They could have just not folded. I mean, they weren't going to fold, but it would have been an excuse. Oh, we couldn't beat Seattle because we didn't have our best midfielder and one of our best attacking players. But Caleb Porter was like, no, screw that. We're going to figure this out. We're going to go after them. This is what we ask of coaches in every one of these big moments. Take the initiative. Go after the other team. Don't let them don't let them build into the game. Don't make it easy on them. Make it hard, especially when you're at home.
It's interesting. You would have thought that with Nagbe out, it would be just stack up and double team Zelarayan every time he gets the ball. But he continued to have space just in front of the back four the entire game. They never really figured out how to pin him down, which is interesting. They're playing with a one-man striker in Giassi Zardes. You would think the center backs would be stepping out to Zelarayan more often, and it just wasn't happening. And
I think there was danger to be had from the fullbacks and those wide players. I mean, Etienne Jr. and Luis Diaz are burners, and Diaz in particular, Etienne Jr. obviously scored, but Diaz in particular, just that straight line speed, taking the ball, going after people, softening them up. I mean, you got to step out to him now. And when you step out to Luis Diaz or Derek Etienne Jr. on the other side, what happens, Jared? Then you open up that space in the middle for Zelarayan.
Yeah, how many times did you see it go wide and come back across the top of the 18 and Zelarayan's just sitting there on the top of the 18 deciding if he's going to go left or right and waiting to pull the trigger on something or just slot the ball back in. I thought their work rate, Columbus's work rate, was extremely impressive.
Yeah.
The amount of miles they ran, the pressure that they gave on the ball. And it's funny, when you think of Darlington Nagbe, that's one of the things he provides normally.
Yeah.
And to have him out and still have that mentality, it was impressive.
Yeah, Darlington Nagbe, we once upon a time, years and years and years ago, we gave Michael Bradley a drop on this show. And when we do the bonus episode that is all about every drop, I'll tell this, we'll tell stories about these drops and where they came from. But we gave Michael Bradley, we gave him the shot A, right? If you get the shot A, you are obviously next level. But Michael Bradley is no longer the shot A. He hasn't been on that level for a while. That belongs to Darlington Nagbe.
So
the
he's
man
a smooth operator now, huh?
Cool, calm under pressure. Nothing breaks him. And when you don't have that player, suddenly you're changing the way that you play. And again, they executed at every single level. It was Jonathan Mensah and Josh Williams in the back being immense. Somebody pointed out that Jossie's artist, although he didn't score, and he really wasn't, he did have one shot save late in the game. He really wasn't a massive factor on the attacking end because Elarion was making everything happen. He was huge defensively. He won
He was defending from the front constantly, slowing the ball down, giving his team behind time to set up. He really was a workhorse in this game. And it's almost like, and this is where you got to give credit to Caleb Porter. In a team that could have easily leaned and as a crutch that they don't have Nagbe, they're down 2 of their starters. They could have easily set on that crutch and as an excuse why not to perform. Instead, they were inspired by it. It's like it pushed them further and gave them more to play for because they were missing a guy that they wanted on the field with them. It was quite impressive.
Absolutely. Shout out, by the way, to these. Wait, I got to do this. These people. This one here. You can't really, if you're not watching the video, it says "Save the Crew" on that scarf that I have right over my shoulder. This is the best part of the story. Whatever you think of the Columbus Crew, and this is where I'm going to bring in Nikki Soup and Sausage. I know we got callers waiting, so I'll get to that, but the best part of this story is that they almost had this team taken away from them. And no matter what you think, I mean, your most hated rival in the world. Do you think that, well, maybe Glasgow Rangers and Celtic would be different, but for most of the rivalries in the world, you don't want that team to disappear. You don't want them to move and become somebody else because then you lose your rival. And even if you hate the Crew, you have to admit that it was a good thing to see them win because of everything they had to go through. Like, at least you could.
You're saying you have to. We'll see if Nick agrees.
Well, let's bring in Nicky Soup and Sausage, Mr. Soup and Sausage, Senor Soup, as I'm thinking of calling him now. We were talking before the show. And by the way, if you sign up at Patreon and go for the highest level, the best of the best, you can get access to the pre-show and the post-show, all the behind the scenes. You might have heard that conversation we had, so go do that. But you mentioned that there is a split right now in the FC Cincinnati fan base. Tell Jared what you told me.
So there's a lot of people not happy right now. A lot of FC Cincinnati fans not happy right now that there were some parts of the FC Cincinnati fan base rooting actively for the Crew this weekend to win MLS Cup.
How do you feel about that? Before we go further, how do you feel about that, Jared? I mean, it's akin to you saying, okay, I'm going to root for the Quakes to win the title. I'm going to root for LAFC to win the title.
Man, I would have to have a reason to hate the other team very badly to get on that bus.
It would have to be a function of the other team being more hated.
I mean, honestly, the only time I could think of a time where I may have done that is in CONCACAF, where they're representing the league as a whole.
Oh, when you were like on the MLS for RSL bandwagon back in the day?
I mean, there's times like that where like I get it. There's a greater good. There's something that your team benefits as well from the good showing that you might get a little bit supportive in those areas. But in MLS Cup final, oh, hell no.
Yeah, but I mean, look, they're new to Major League Soccer for whatever that means. Okay, it's not like the Crew FC Cincinnati rivalry goes back to 1996 the way that yours does with the Clash/Quakes, right? You guys don't. He doesn't have that history. You obviously have a geographic thing. Nick, first of all, you told me that you could understand why some FC Cincinnati fans would root for Columbus.
Is there that much Ohio pride?
Yeah, Ohio. No. Do that whole dot the I thing, and it's all Ohio all the time. Come on.
Don't even get me started on that. But no, so there are people amongst the fan base who were season ticket holders to the Crew. Like it's only an hour and a half trip from Cincinnati.
Allegiances, right?
Yeah. So I can understand from that aspect. If you were a Crew fan for 23 years and now you're a season ticket holder for FC Cincinnati, I get it. I'm not going to
right now kick up now.
No, like that. I got to think of, okay, let's say that tomorrow MLS plops down a team in the Inland Empire, which they should, just to pay homage to all the great players that's produced. But if they dropped a team, when there was a time where Chivas USA was rumored to come out here and was going to play at the Pomona Fairgrounds.
That would have been a disaster.
Okay, but there was a problem, and I had to think like, okay, man, I have to like put my money where my mouth is and change to my local team. That's got to be tough for people that were live in Cincinnati that supported the Crew. If there was a team that plopped down tomorrow, not Chivas USA, their new team, I would feel compelled to support that team. That being said, if the Galaxy was in a final, I still would probably feel pretty good about wanting to support them. Man, I kind of see it both ways now. At first I was hell no. Now I'm like, maybe yes.
It's complicated, right? Well, what is it? What was the overly dramatic Real Housewives of Hell is Real thing you told me?
I saw a tweet today. I can't remember who it was from, but it said Hell is Real is dead and FC Cincinnati fans killed it.
Danger zone.
That was from an FC Cincinnati fan.
That is hilarious to me. You guys have been playing that rivalry for how long?
Well, since we beat them in the Open Cup back in 2016, or 2017.
I mean, that's yesterday. That's nothing.
I know. I personally wasn't rooting for the Crew. I personally was hoping that the Sounders would win. But I was never a fan of the Crew in my entire years of living here in Ohio. I've never once rooted for the Crew in anything, so I didn't root for the Crew. But I saw both sides.
What's interesting, and thank you,
Mickey hates things that are massive, I guess.
Prefers his things small and what? Orange color.
The Sausage King of Chicago, right there.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
I was going to say what's interesting about this Crew thing is that they have this weird mix of likable and also not really likable. Now, I
don't know what's the oh, you mean as a franchise or you mean the team?
The team, the franchise, the whole thing, right? So obviously, Save the
what's
Crew.
not likable about him?
Hold on, Save the Crew makes them. You relate to that. You don't. I mean, I was on my radio show constantly over the past couple. I have a radio show.
Yeah, who's the other grumpy pundit?
I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Jay Rodius.
I have this one too. Ready?
I want to punch you in the face so bad right now.
There's that one. That one works. Thank you to Ron for that. What I was going to say is the Save the Crew thing makes you want to root for them because they almost had their team stolen. And it was, by the way, after the game, Austin FC's Twitter account.
Oh,
congratulating.
Okay. Can we talk about that for a second? Is this a social media manager that has no idea about the history involved, that he got hired just to do a job?
Yeah.
Or is this trolling, or is it like actual
I don't know
attempt at support?
So they used the word y'all, so they made it Texas, which I thought was an interesting move because I think the whole vibe was supposed to be like bygones are bygones, congratulations y'all, like
we know you could do it.
Yeah, we were behind you the whole way. I don't know if it was that. I don't think it's didn't know because that's impossible, right? It's not like it happened 8 years ago or 10 years. It happened. It just happened. They have to know, right? Have to.
Would you put it past a team to hire a social media manager from a different sport that doesn't know anything about soccer, that's just good at tweeting and doing memes and doesn't know? It's possible, but if not, it's fairly good banter.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Okay. So I was talking about the likable, unlikable. Save the Crew stuff makes you want to root for them. I don't think Caleb Porter is a likable figure. I don't have any problem with him personally. Every time I've talked to the guy, he's been fine. But I know that he rubs people the wrong way. And I know that he has a bit of a reputation for being a hard ass. Now, maybe you don't mind that. I think Siggy had a reputation for being a hard ass. I think Bruce Arena can have a reputation for being a hard ass sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know how he would say that. Hard ass. I'm a hard ass. I don't know, man. But he can't not root for Darlington Nagbe. He's like the nicest dude in the world, and he's an incredible player. Unless you are one of those people who thinks he's held himself back. And Darlington Nagbe could play playing in Europe if he wasn't such a homebody. I mean, Darlington Nagbe is the modern day Landon Donovan, except he doesn't score goals, so he doesn't quite get the accolades. But
he also doesn't play for the national team.
Well, that too. He's chosen to step away from that because he's even extra more about his life and keeping it quiet than going all in on representing the United States. I don't know. It's a thing. All right, let's go to Mike in Philly, who's been waiting patiently. And as always, when Mike comes on the line, we have to drop that in for him. Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, actually, speaking of that Cincy Crew thing, early on, a lot of Union fans were like ex-DC fans, and I think to a lesser extent, ex-Metro Star fans. So, I mean, that feeling with the Cincinnati fans will probably fade over time, I'm assuming, as it's more established. So,
sure. Yeah, sure.
My 2 cents there.
You can't. You can't just.
Yeah, so,
you can't just turn off your feelings for your ex because you found your true love, right? They don't.
You better hide them though.
Well, that's what Nick is saying, right? You don't come out and be like,
Yeah,
"Go,
don't be giving a shot. Don't be liking pictures on Facebook.
is that what that is? That's
Yeah, man.
You hit like. I saw you hit like on your ex-girlfriend's Facebook page.
Hell yeah, that's
on
what
your
that is.
Instagram. What? She was wearing a bikini at the beach, and I saw that you hit liked on that. Why did you hit like on that? Don't you love me? I'm in your life. I'm the one,
right?
All right, Mike, go ahead.
So like as a total neutral, right? You gotta love like the just the crew storylines. You got the Save the Crew element. You have those academy kids they kept showing element, and even that being one of the last games at Crew Stadium. I think we're gonna play a game or two next year there probably, but just as like a send off for that building. I really like that as a neutral. And then even the game itself, like it was lopsided score wise, but it was pretty damn exciting. So I'm hoping they got decent numbers on Fox Primetime, because even my wife, who was just passively in the same room as me, she assumed I was watching highlights. She like looked up at one point. She's like, "Wait, is this the actual game, or are you watching a recap?" Because it wasn't like there's a shot every 5 seconds.
It wasn't the Golden Gods that got her intrigued that they had on the broadcast.
Oh, Jesus, it looked like Valderrama's face was melting.
Everybody was melting. I didn't understand what was going on.
But he's right though. Like I remember as a neutral, like shrieking out loud in that sequence where Zardes does a bike, another person does like there was some really good moments in that game.
That was before I think Columbus had scored, and I think
they scored one by then.
Okay, maybe, but I know Fry made an incredible save just by sticking his arm out, like literally just like
great save.
Tree trunk, boom, it hits his arm and bounces off, and then Zardes gets the overhead.
Yeah, surprised to see that first ball go by Fry. Don't go wrong. People always say the hardest play for a goalie to save is directly to the side of his feet. But I really thought great first time take by Zelleran on that one as well. But shout out real quick while Mike was mentioning like some academy kids and stuff like that. Aiden Morris had a great game.
He did. He played well.
He got 10 games this season, 360 minutes. He's averaging 36 minutes in the games he played. Like to step into MLS Cup final as a rookie. And I thought it was a really above his level performance, and I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go. I mean, I teased a special guest kind of earlier, and I don't think we ended up with the one we wanted, but here we go. On the phone line with us now on the Best Soccer Show, Alexi Lalas. Alexi, what's going on, man?
Gentlemen, well, it might not be the special guest that you wanted, but the one you deserve.
That was messed up. How do you say that?
Alexi knows I love him. Come on, I'm just giving him a hard time because we didn't know he was coming. I had no
problem. I love you guys.
I saw this picture.
I love you guys. Yeah, I was. It was really. I had a little nap after flying back from Columbus, and I rolled over and I saw Jared's tweet there, and I said, "Hey, the guys are doing it." And sometimes it doesn't time up right when it's going on. So I flicked it on. I've been listening last 10 minutes or so, and thought I'd just call to say you look wonderful, which is we know it's half the battle. That beanie over there you got going, and the Bad Religion shirt, nice. I like it.
Yeah,
Jason,
my rat one was
that's a really tight shirt you got going on there. My daughter wants her shirt back.
Tight? What are you talking about tight? I got plenty of room here.
Ever since Jason started going to the gym, his shirts got tighter. I don't know if it's just like he's getting swole or he started buying mediums.
The midlife crisis thing is real, okay? I'm not, and I know I'm having a kid now, so I'm all kind of messed up with that, a brand new baby and everything else. I'm trying, okay? Look,
how's the show? How's the show going? Don't worry about it. I mean, we'll talk about your physique later. You know, we always talk about your physique. How is the show going, guys? I mean, it's sometimes it's hard to reset and redo something. You're trying to grasp a piece of the past. How do you think it's going?
I think that's shade, Jared. I think he's saying we don't have the same old.
Here's the thing: Alexi Lalas steps into the void, starts a great podcast in our absence, and now we're trying to get people back. Like, how are we supposed to compete with that?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
So, Alexi, you were in the.
What's interesting is when you guys first came online, right? It was huge. It was for me it was huge. I don't know if it's huge for anybody else, but for me it was huge, and I really loved it And, it was at not the birth, but it was at a time where we didn't have a whole lot going on. And I say now you guys are like old school, and if people were really in the know, they understand what you guys are all about. So if anybody's listening and this is like their first time around, you have no idea what the quality of people and the quality of content that you have going on now, and some of the Wild West type of stuff that these guys used to have to go through.
So are you saying we're the Joy division? Like people are just now getting hip to us from way back in the day?
But that was after they were over. We're not over. We came back. Joy division never came back.
Right, so who came back then?
Oh, I'm not saying you guys are over.
Is it like maybe
you guys are? This is.
No,
this is like 0.2. We always have our 2.0, MLS 2.0, MLS 3.0.
I'm thinking
there's got to be a 0.0 for this.
Yeah, I'm thinking Aerosmith, Jared. They had the early days, They had a couple of hits, and then in the 90s they re-exploded, right? We can be 2.0.
I need to get some kerchiefs for my microphone stand here.
Well, I mean, that, and I think we need to make some videos, right? Not necessarily like they did in the 90s, because that would be problematic.
Hey, Alexi, I was wondering as I was watching last night, you were in the stadium, man. What was the atmosphere like with the attendance and stuff like that? Like, it came across really loud, like when goals and stuff like that, but I didn't know if there was augmented stuff going on or anything like that. Was that legit? Was that really a good atmosphere there despite the reduced capacity?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because this week we traveled to Seattle for the Western Conference Final, and then we traveled to Columbus for MLS Cup. And I probably don't need to tell you or your listeners that it's a very, very different type of situation up in Seattle as opposed to Columbus. And Seattle was completely empty, no fans, just eerily silent. And this was the first time I traveled since February, and obviously the first time I'd been in a stadium. And it was surreal to be in that. Now, the Columbus one obviously wasn't full, but it makes a huge difference. And look, they had originally were telling us 1,500. There's no chance in hell that we're 1,500. There was a lot of people in there. They were distanced and they did what they needed to do. But I mean, at one point I looked up in the Nordeck and there were guys without their shirts on and beer flying all over the place, tattoos, and it wasn't back to normal, but it was a little piece of normalcy there, and it definitely made a difference. It wasn't perfect, but none of 2020 was. But it was fun to see, and they made the best out of what we all know has just been a crappy year and a crappy situation. And they obviously had the advantage of being able to do it and allowing people in the stands. But it was strange, but they brought it. They made noise.
Nice.
They did. And the Crew, deserved winners, dominant pretty much the entire game. And I don't think a lot of us expected that. I mean, we you don't bet against Seattle. I know they'd already lost one of these, but they had won two. So to see them get played off the field, especially without Nagbe and Santos on the team sheet for Columbus, was a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, the favorites were Seattle, and they got their ass handed to. It wasn't even just a loss; it was a bad loss. What's your guys' Schmetzer take? Everybody's got a Schmetzer take, right?
Pay the man. That's my thing. I mean, pay the man. I get it. He ain't sexy, but I mean, the dude wins. I mean, how do you argue against the dude that gets you to the finals over and over again?
Somebody in the world thinks Brian Schmetzer is sexy. I just want to say that.
I'm not saying he's unattractive. I'm just saying, like, in terms of, like, as a coach, if you have Andres Herrera on one side and you got Schmetzer on the other, which one do you want, or which one's easy for you to root for and get involved and get passionate for? Schmetzer's guys play for him, though. It's amazing. I say pay the dude what he wants. What he's asking, which, if it's rumored, I think 1.5 million, that's still gonna be less than what Arena's making, I think.
Just good. Well, Arena's doing two jobs,
but
right?
But the conversation and the question is, okay, fine, and I actually agree with you there. But Jared, to your point, would you want him for the Los Angeles Galaxy, or do you pay him? And you were saying pay him specifically because it's Seattle.
Okay, so Jason and I had a bit of a conversation a few weeks ago about Schmetzer, and who were we putting against him at the time? Was it Vanny? It was Vanny we were talking about.
Yeah. I think I might. Hold on. The throwback. There it is.
I'm taking Vanny, and here's the reason why. I get that Schmetzer is probably the smart choice, but Alexi, and maybe you can, as a former player, you can talk about this a little bit better than I can, but I feel right now that the Galaxy needs someone that has played for them, that can get the passion back. I don't know that Brian Schmetzer is going to, because there's a different problem going on here outside of just the results on the field. The fan culture at Galaxy is dying right now. Like, it's dying. You got this sexy thing down the road in LAFC that's doing everything right. And Galaxy, despite the signings, the money that's paid out, and the names they brought in, aren't getting it done. You need to take it back to basics. It's for me. I don't know how you see it though, Alexi.
Well, what is the right situation to hire Brian Schmetzer if it's not Los Angeles Galaxy? I'm saying, because the conversation over the last couple of weeks, at least that we've been having at Fox and different places is, and I took a lot of crap from the folks up in Seattle because my point was he is not just a good coach, he's a great coach and a legend for Seattle, and everything has been specific to Seattle. So I guess my question to you would be, what would be a good and smart place for Brian Schmetzer to be? What would you be comfortable? And I know you have your affinity to the Galaxy, but look at a team out there and tell me which one out there you think would make sense for Brian Schmetzer, who we know has not coached anywhere else, by the way. Same applies to Vanny and Armis and Curtin if he went anywhere, and Ben Olsen. So where would it be?
It's got to be a team that's willing to put team above personality, because that's what Seattle's done so well. They play as a team. They play just to do the style, not for the headlines. And when I look around, I think Toronto's a great place for Schmetzer. It's not a full rebuild or anything like that. They've got good pieces still that are up there, a championship mentality. It's an easy place to go to. Oh, not easy, because it's definitely one of the biggest city in Canada and has a lot of expectations around it, but it's not a full rebuild or anything like that. Where if you go to DC, I mean, you're really starting a project.
Yeah, the cupboard is empty at DC, which I don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that also makes the job really hard to sell. So I don't even know if Brian Schmetzer.
I would have said Atlanta, but Heinz is in there now, and it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. So I would say when I look around the league in terms of where there's vacancies, I will tell you though, if there was a vacancy, I think the team that most could adopt what Schmetzer does and the mentality is San Jose Earthquakes. I mean, a team that's always had the mentality of Goonie mentality, do more with less, that kind of thing.
Let's not overstate what Schmetzer's done in Seattle. Yeah, he's done a great job. He's been a great tournament coach, getting them into the playoffs. I mean, they're not winning Supporter Shield. I'm not trying to take anything away. I'm just pointing that out.
He's got no Garth Largo waiting where he goes. That's a big problem too.
So, the thing in Seattle is
what? Jason, come on, man!
What?
You're killing Schmetzer? What? That's like a backhanded compliment for this guy. What more do you want him to do?
No. The goal in MLS to win an MLS Cup, and he's done that twice. He is worth the money that he's asking for, and I think that he could succeed somewhere else. But I don't want to overstate that he's done all of this on some shoestring budget and shocked the world by punching way above Seattle's weight. They have spent money.
There you go.
They've used their money to bring in players to help them win. They might not be superstars the way that LA Galaxy like to bring in superstars, but you would take Raul Ruidiaz over Chicharito Hernandez every day of the week, Jared. That's where they spend their money.
Okay. Outside of Schmetzer, I have a question for Alexi about Seattle. Then it's kind of the same thing. Schmetzer as the coach that's an icon. He's always been Seattle through and through. Let's talk about Jordan Morris for a second. Alexi, if you're Jordan Morris, is it better at 26? I believe he is right now, 27. Maybe, I'm not sure, somewhere in that range. Is it better to be a Seattle legend, cement the future, commit to Seattle Sounders, be the guy that eclipses Clint Dempsey and all these other names that are out there, be the biggest Seattle Sounder of all time, bring home championships, or do you take one last stab at maybe trying to get to Europe before you're aged out?
Oof. Look, we saw this with Landon Donovan. I know you guys mentioned it earlier. This is the situation. You got to be strong, because if you make that choice to continue on into MLS, you don't close the door, but let's be honest, it starts to shrink, that opening, as you get older and older, and as you kind of position yourself. And he could position himself, and I think he could very well become that iconic type of player that when we say Seattle Sounders, that is the person that we go to first and foremost. And that in and of itself, there's value to that. He'll get paid, maybe not as much as he would elsewhere over time, but it would be consistent. He would own that city and own that type of brand. That would be that association. But you got to be to a certain extent very clear and strong. And whether it's a Landon Donovan or an Eddie Pope, when you came across these guys, you may agree or disagree, but what you didn't, what we all understood is they had an idea of who they were and what they needed to survive and to thrive. And don't go because you feel you have to go because the American soccer public thinks you need to live up to some BS type of level or pathway that we have envisioned in our minds. Go because you actually want the experience and want to do it. I think he'd be successful, but he'll be successful. He'll make money. He could be a great soccer player, even if he continues on domestically. It bothers me when we project upon these players what we feel is the appropriate path, and that they are somehow letting us, American soccer, and themselves down when they decide, or they have the audacity to decide that's not necessarily the path that they want to take.
If we stop doing that, American soccer fans would do nothing. That's what we do. That's our raison d'etre.
But the only thing I agree with you, Alexi. True. I agree with you, Alexi. The only thing that I wonder that might be the tipping point for Jordan Morris is when he looks up and down the starting 11 for the U.S. national team, it's literally could be 10 European players and Jordan Morris. Like, what's the one thing that doesn't fit with all
or
this?
Or 11 European players and not
exactly.
European.
And I'm wondering, like, is that something in his mind at this point? Is that literally every player that's threatening for a starting position is a European-based player, and is that going to hurt Jordan Morris in the long term with the national team? Everything else, Lexi, I agree with 100%.
He just watched the national team.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lexi. Sorry.
But that's going. I mean, then just go fly over to Heathrow, juggle the ball in the in the airport there, and then come back. I mean, if you're just doing it to check a box or to have that on your resume, my question is, where are you going? Are you going someplace where you're going to play? And are you actually, by going there, getting better, as opposed to the perception of you is better? So it all comes down to where he would go. And I think actually he in particular, and I know there was an article this week in The Athletic about what his value is and out there on the more open market. And he's a very unique type of situation. And I don't know ultimately how he would be valued by MLS and by Seattle if he were to go someplace else. I think, like I said, he's a very different type of player.
I know. Look, I know, and they're writing the stories, right? That he's open to this or whatever. His value is a very interesting question. He's the kind of guy, though, based on what Seattle's been, and if they want to continue to foster this reputation as a club that services the community, that is tied directly to that has this very family vibe, then if he says, I want to go, well, they can't hold him hostage. I mean, I think it would be a very bad look for Major League Soccer. I'm not saying sell him for $1 million, but it would be a very bad look for Major League Soccer and the Seattle Sounders if somebody came in with a fairly decent offer, say $5-6 million for Jordan Morris at this point, and they said no, and they turned it down on his, and he wants to go, if he wants to go. The problem is we might never know, because Jordan Morris isn't the type of player who says, yeah, they screwed me, I wanted to go.
What, out of the goodness of their heart, if somebody offered $6 million, you think that's fair value for the star U.S. player, with all due respect to Jossie Zardes, a national team, like you said, arguably, but for a lot of people, one of the starting 11 for the U.S. men's national team in 2020? Come on, Jason, you're a better businessman than that.
No. Well, first of all, I have no idea what his value is. You tell me what he's worth. I don't know. What is he worth? Is he worth 10? Is he worth 15? I don't know.
15.
Are you going to get $15 million for
No,
Jordan?
you're not, but that's what he's worth to Seattle.
Okay, but then again, we come to this point of if he wants to
there's a reason Aaron Long's still playing in Red Bulls, because their value number is different than West Ham's was. That's just simple.
I know. I get it. And Mark McKenzie hasn't gone because whatever somebody offered wasn't enough yet. I understand all of that. I'm not, what
if he was from Argentina? What would that value be if he was from Argentina?
He's not from Argentina. We're still working on this.
He might be from Austria. That dude, way that dude looks, he looks Austrian.
He looks very specific. He looks awesome.
Oh my
There's some Eastern European in there somewhere. Hey,
listen, guys. I just wanted to call in. I didn't want to monopolize anything. I love both of you, as you know. I love the show, and I love the way that you talk about the game. And I want to wish you luck. And I hope you and your families are staying safe and sane through this craziness. Here's to wonderful things and better days ahead. Hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. I just wanted to check in.
Thank you, Alexi Lalas, stopping by. It's been years. Alexi. It's been a long time since we've had Alexi Lalas just call us up randomly. I was going to say, now he's gone, I can mention this. There's this picture of Alexi Lalas from his college days floating around on Instagram somewhere.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
Oh, he looks like he plays disc golf, probably.
He's playing, so his hair is like this, it's huge because it's early 90s Alexi Lalas or whatever that was. and he is white as a ghost. And as a pale person, I'm allowed to say something like that.
Okay.
And the thigh muscles are just busting, and he's got this. He's so lanky. He's so skinny, lanky college kid, Alexi Lalas. It's quite the picture.
Nick got the wrong picture for the thumbnail.
I
Then,
know.
I guess.
Brought that one up. Yeah, look. So we had somebody in the chat. Here it is. Mike says that Transfer Market has Jordan Morris's value at $3.8 million. No,
that's not even like, listen, that's insulting even for who he is as a player. He's literally an MVP candidate in MLS. That's a tough market value. And that's Seattle would never let him go for anywhere near that.
Plenty of times in MLS history where a player's value has not matched up with what Major League Soccer believes he's worth, because, and you're right, in a very specific circumstance, being a Seattle kid, and being a player who's been key to 2 championships and everything else, Jordan Morris is special to Seattle. But does that mean that they should say no? If, again, I'm not talking about taking $1 million, but if a club comes in and says, oh yeah, he's 25 now, whatever he is, we'll take him $6 million. You don't think that they should listen to that?
I'm not sure what year of his contract he's in. That's going to matter in that. I'm not sure where he's at in that. But the other thing that's going to push it is that if Jordan Morris wants to go, if he wants to go, and that's a player that you need to be in a good frame of mind if he's going to stay, then you think about it. I think the more likely thing for Jordan Morris is, as Alexi equated to Landon Donovan, is a loan. I think a loan in the. I think definitely
that's the water. Sure, you don't want to jump in the deep end. You just want to go and wait around a little bit and test it out.
Permission for Bundesliga team that's in a relegation fight and try to help them make a name for yourself that way. I think that's a really good place to go.
Should he go to Werder Bremen and give a hand to Josh Sargent? By the way, Werder Bremen's the club that tried to sign Jordan Morris before he decided to play for the Sounders.
Yeah. They tried to give him a vision. Maybe Jordan Morris. I mean, someone's got to get Josh Sargent to score. He ain't doing it on his own.
All right, here's a good question. This is Holden, and just put it out there. $8 million, sell him to Fulham. I'm not sure Fulham's coming in with an $8 million offer for Jordan Morris, but yeah, I mean, is that for and just Jordan Morris work better? Obviously, we're watching with Josh Sargent sort of the struggle to score goals for a team that's at the bottom end of the Bundesliga table. I don't think they're in the relegation zone at the moment, Werder Bremen, but they're obviously going to wallow there. Is it better for him to go to a good team where he doesn't have to worry about a struggle, or a bad team where he's definitely going to be useful and
loan or sale?
Well, it's loan.
Loan, you go to a struggling team because you're gonna get minutes. You'll get minutes for a struggling team. For sale, I would go to someone that's probably got Champions League run, something like that needs minutes, that needs players.
Now, it ain't happening. He's 26. You don't go at 28.
Landon Donovan went to Everton when he was 28, 29.
Yeah, those were some very specific circumstances. It was. I know what you're saying. The problem is that Landon Donovan got his move to Everton because he was Landon Donovan. And this is the other thing about the Jordan Morris question. While everybody's talking about, he's kind of like Landon Donovan, whatever is comfortable for him makes him a better player. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with him making his personal choices. It might not mean he's a national team starter. And that's the thing. No matter what Landon Donovan chose to do with his career, he was a dead-on national team starter, the best player on the field for the U.S. most of the years that he was playing in Major League Soccer. Now, maybe that was a function of the national team at the time. Maybe Landon Donovan was just that good despite playing in a lesser league, but that's not Jordan Morris. He might not be a national team star. So you're talking about, he could be on the mountaintop as the hero of Seattle. He could be Seattle's icon. Landon Donovan was an MLS icon and a Galaxy icon, and before that, almost a Earthquakes icon, because he was a national team superstar.
Last thing I'll say on this before we probably need to move on from this. The difference, one more difference between the two, though, is that right now Americans are hot in Europe, and he's the premier American that's not already in Europe.
He's also 8 years older than those hot Americans in Europe now.
Okay, but if you're looking for something right now, not a long-term project return on investment, like you need to stay up from relegation this season.
That's sort of like, I want to try Mexican cuisine. Give me a chalupa. Like that's not.
You call Jordan Morris a chalupa?
Is that wrong?
Happen?
Is that wrong? Is that?
I mean,
is that bad?
You literally put him on the Taco Bell value menu, man. Like you didn't even give him like top status.
Is he a Crunchwrap Supreme? What is he? Is he an enchilada?
I don't go to Taco. I mean, anything at Taco Bell is
you can get
underdog crap.
Get the enchilada at Taco Bell, like a run of the mill. Okay, like the enchilada that you could get in the Toledo, the general Toledo area. Like,
it's gonna have like hamburger meat in it or something. It's got sloppy Joe on the inside.
Okay, what is he? Cheesy gordita crunch? Mike says. Mike in Philly, cheesy gordita crunch. Jordan Morris.
Someone, a couple of people like agree with you. I think so.
He's a chalupa. I'm just saying, like, he's not the it American in any real sense. He might matter in Major League Soccer, but he's not even.
Jordan Morris is also a good-looking man. He's marketable.
He's not the best. Well, you did point out the man seems to have some lift.
Here's my issue.
What's going on with the hair?
Jordan Morris is the most handsome man that somehow still needs a makeover. Like, he's a good-looking dude, but for some reason you're still like, that dude needs to be queer-eyed a bit.
He's got that tank build, and but I don't know.
Like his hair. I had a question the other night watching the final. Like his hair, guy, I feel so bad. We're like talking about Jordan Morris forever. Like, listen, I like you, buddy. I promise.
Yeah,
I can't tell if his hair is so thin and fine that it can't get any volume, or he just greases it to his skull.
He never had volume. That's the thing.
I think he just takes a thing of grease and he goes like.
Can we get like a shampoo company, like somebody with some hair game to ship us some stuff? We'll mention your product on the air and we can send it off to Jordan Morris, help him get some volume.
You know who's got good hair?
Yeah.
And showed well this week? Weston McKennie.
Weston McKennie. Do you want to go? I mean, we got to go back in time. Okay.
I know, right?
All right. So, I mean, he gets one of those like extra level. How many? If we were rating on a scale of 1 to 5, oh babies, for that goal, what are you giving him? Go ahead, tell me.
3.5.
3.5. Can I do 3.5? Let's see. That was like 4. Almost 4. I get it. Right.
Beautiful. The best part about it is that he starts to play, distributes wide. And by the way, Cuadrado is one of the best servers I corrected myself. Okay.
No. I'm not hating on you.
I said Cuadrado first. That's why I said it with
Cuadrado is a different player for sure.
No,
yeah.
Cuadrado's first time service is one of the best I've seen in Europe. I mean, the guy is fantastic service. Weston McKennie gets in the box, and you could see Weston McKennie was given a more defensive role than he's seen recently against Juventus in that game, but you could tell Pirlo's giving him the green light when the situation's right to go forward. He's making these little late runs afterwards, and that's a great little ball in and great technique to finish it on the side scissor kick.
Yeah, the side scissor kick volley situation. I mean, come on, athleticism. Weston McKennie has bucket loads of athleticism. Love that guy. He's the counter to the what if our best athlete played soccer. Weston McKennie's an incredible athlete. Yeah. I don't know what he would leap. I don't know what his long jump would be. I don't know how fast he would run a 40. But that dude is a legit athlete. I mean, he's fantastic. And so in that situation, you know, I'm sure people will say, well, it's Barcelona, and it's like drunk Barcelona. Like, they're not real. Like, it's getting into a fight with a drunk guy. Like, you know, if you're sober and he's drunk, you're gonna mostly get the better of it.
And this isn't Barcelona without Messi or anything like that. Like, a couple games have been recently, like, Messi played in this game. I mean, like, Barcelona's like
started in that game. I should mention Serginho Dest.
Yeah, I mean, he had his hands full all night too. I mean, it was not a good look for Barcelona, and you got to be happy that you're seeing McKennie in 3 games straight, 2 goals in 3 games. He started again today. Pirlo believes in this guy. I mean, it looks like he's going to get significant minutes, and it looks like the choice has been made between McKennie and Rabiot, and it looks like it's McKennie right now.
Well,
wow, does he really live here?
That's not the one I wanted. I wanted this one. That's for Serginho Dest, of course. The one thing that slightly has me just a little bit nervous with Weston McKennie, and look, I don't know. There's a lot of steps in between, and I'm always the guy who says don't believe anything until the player's actually in the stadium holding up the jersey. But I have heard, I've seen it mentioned after Mino Raiola went out in public and said Paul Pogba's done at Manchester United, that Paul Pogba could go back to Juventus. If Paul Pogba goes back to Juventus, that is bad news for Weston McKennie. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it's definitely it could be lights out for Weston McKennie, to be honest with you, because that's directly the player of the field that Paul Pogba would be playing in. Maybe McKennie gets the more defensive part of that role or something like that every here and there, but not a good look. So, I mean, you got through December, buddy. I mean, January transfer window opens up. If that move gets made, if you're Weston McKennie, though, I mean, you get the chance to still learn around Paul Pogba. Just don't learn how he talks.
Is that what we're at now? Like, we're past that, right?
No, we should be past that. You're right. We should be past that.
What is this lineup? I guess they played with wingbacks. Cuadrado and Chiesa were wingbacks today for Juventus, which is why
I was playing disc golf today, buddy. I'm sorry, I didn't get to watch the game. I just know.
I guess it's a 3-5-2. Ronaldo and Dybala on the field together. Okay, 3-5-2, and Weston McKennie part of the midfield trio with Rabiot and Bentancur. And again, Aaron Ramsey on the bench didn't play. Will he play? And blah blah blah. I mean,
well, here's the thing. I don't think the battle. I think some people thought it was going to be between when you start seeing Pirlo playing McKennie up in the forward line more. It's like, oh, he and Ramsey are competing for position. I don't think that's it. Ultimately, I think it's he and Rabiot competing for position. I think McKennie's got him edged out right now.
We had, I mean, again, Pogba's a different level, but we had talked about when Arthur Melo arrived, right? Like that was going to be a problem for him too, and it hasn't turned out to be a problem. And
they played together a few times. I mean, it looks like they're finding time together as well.
And they're fighting on enough fronts. Juventus, and they always will because they're Juventus, that you can kind of say, all right, well, this is fine because Weston McKennie is going to get some minutes, you know. And again, I don't know that Paul Pogba is going anywhere, or if he does leave United, he's going to end up in Turin. Probably not. It's just worth mentioning. By the way, I got to do it again, and I'll ask you, Giovanni Reyna, how many does he get? How many does he get?
Ooh, that one, man. See, here's the thing: Weston McKennie's is a slam dunk, windmill slam dunk. I feel like Giovanni Reyna's is a up, over, behind, like Julius Erving, Dr. J, like reverse layup. It's like the most technical thing you've ever seen. How did he do that? There's a difference between what Weston McKennie did, which was just like balls out, like posterize Barcelona. Gio Reyna's, though, is just like, oh my God, how does he have that technique? If you guys haven't seen the reverse angle on that goal, when you see how he brought that ball down, he brought that ball down just with his toe. His toe on his left foot, he brings down first time without missing a stride, instantly right foot outside the boot into the other side of the net. It's a fantastic sequence of events. One that I don't remember the last time I've seen an American do.
I'm sorry, I'm watching it here, and you know, I'm assuming everybody's going to go and watch it again 8 billion times, just because. All right, so he makes the run, which I'm not even sure that the right back falls asleep, but I'm not sure that they think he's making that run. Like, is Giovanni Reyna going to make that run? That's not what he does. And then, as you said, the control and the one-time finish. I mean, the touch and then the finish. It's so instinct. I mean, obviously he's got technique coming out of every pore.
No, you're not thinking when you do that. That's just what you do.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been baked into him because of his upbringing, and to finish that way. Because I think a lot of, I mean, obviously this is the difference between the level, right? If you're looking at an MLS forward, even Jordan Morris, he brings that ball down. Is he taking that on the next touch? Is he taking that shot in the next touch? Or is he trying to cut back? Is he maybe dribbling to the end line?
I don't think, first of all, I don't think the touch would have been that.
No, probably not.
I don't think he's looking that way for it as well. But the sad news in that game is, though, afterwards, Favre gets sacked. You know, they sack it as a 5-1 loss at home. I feel bad for the dude because he's playing without Erling Haaland, but I guess Dortmund should be good enough. It shouldn't be that big of a fall
don't
off.
Have excuses. Yeah, I mean, obviously you have a lot of eggs in the Erling Haaland basket.
I mean, how many games does the Munich coach get if Lewandowski goes down for a month and a half?
No, he doesn't. No, they lose the next time out without Lewandowski. He gets canned. That's how it works when you're coaching at that level.
So is that Jesse Marsh's job?
So I've seen that mentioned, and obviously I'm a big Jesse Marsh fan.
So feel respect for the Gegner.
But I don't know if I want him to get that job. And that's not fair to Jesse Marsh.
Just because you want Brendan Aronson to land lightly in Europe?
Well, there's that. I do think that it obviously would be better. I think Brendan Aronson's good enough that he will succeed at Red Bull Salzburg regardless of who the manager is there. But it will clearly make it easier for him to transition into that team if Jesse Marsh is on the scene. They're going to sell Sloboslai for what? I don't even know, 25 million or something. And that's wild because it's such a machine. It's such a, like, I'm trying to think of the analogy.
I just hope that Dortmund does this over and over again. I just hope they get a coach that still believes in playing youth. You know, and listen, Giovanni Reyna
can get that job unless you're going to play the kids.
Yeah, and Giovanni Reyna may now be the second best player. It may not be Jadon Sancho anymore. It may be Gio Reyna at this point. So I think any coach would be foolish not to play him. But I just don't know.
Bellingham too, but Bellingham's in a different position, so you don't worry.
Yeah, Jude Bellingham is the truth, 100% the truth. I love that, watching that guy play. So here's the thing: Gio Reyna just signs a 5-year contract extension, and his coach changes. Like, you just committed your future to the club, and you see him make a move that quickly.
But this is the thing: Lucien Favre was already a hired. I mean, he had been there for a little while, but he was already a guy coming in.
And let's be honest too, Chris. What's happening here is Gio Reyna signs a 5-year deal. That's just so Dortmund could get a bigger.
Well, no, of course, he's locked. Look, he gets certainty that he'll be at Dortmund if nothing happens. But the chances that he stays at Dortmund for the next 3 years. I mean, what's the line? How long?
I think he's not there more than one more season.
Over under is this another? So finish.
I say next summer. Let's see, the World Cup's not in the summer though.
2022, ahead of the World Cup, or
I think coming out of the World Cup. I think you hold him through the World Cup.
You know what's weird?
World Cup, and you sell big.
That winter window after the World Cup in 2022, so it'll be a January 2023. That's going to be a wild one because teams don't want to do business, but they'll have shut down for the World Cup. They're going to come back at it. They're all going to panic. There's obviously going to be like, oh my God, did you see what that guy did in the World Cup? Oh my God, we got to get that guy.
Wherever you're at the table, you're going to sit there for a month and have to look at that.
Yeah, and then you're going to be itching to do something. And again, whether it's Gio Reyna, I mean, who knows about Americans, but whoever it is that goes off at the World Cup, there's going to be a lot of pressure to go out and buy that guy. I don't know. I mean, okay, here's the other question. And I know this is just mindless speculation, but let's do it.
How did I spend that much money?
Does Gio Reyna or anybody else in the next 2.5 years break the record that Christian Pulisic set when he went to Chelsea for transfer fee?
Man, I think the only player capable of doing that is Serginho Dest. He's already at the team that would pay him to do it. Yeah, I honestly think that. I don't think Weston McKennie is. I don't think a player in that part of the field.
Well, Weston McKennie is going to be a permanent purchase by Juventus, but way below that Pulisic number for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what that loan was built in, what his buyout number was. I'm
think
sure it's
like
already
25 or something like that. It's not crazy.
Yeah, Gio Reyna is really the only person at this point I can see pulling something like.
You remember what Pulisic's fee was?
Was it 70?
$73 million. $73 million.
And when you look at Gio Reyna, do you see anything different? I mean, here's the thing. Christian Pulisic wasn't even in favor at Dortmund when they paid $73 million for him.
Well, again, more like a unique set of circumstances that led to him not.
Okay, but Giovanni Reyna,
every time.
I don't know, man. I think that he could potentially break. And also, when Christian Pulisic moved, Americans weren't in vogue. Like, there was no track record of Americans doing well.
You know what's wild? What's wild is that for a while, and coming out of Major League Soccer, you could probably still get the discount. Like, Major League Soccer is the Marshalls of the soccer world. Like, you go in, you're like, this one, it's got a little bit of a tear here. They missed the thread. It's hanging off. I can get this one for, $9.95. But outside of Major League Soccer now, Americans, you might start paying a premium. We're the supreme now of world football, right? This is like
I equate USA to where Belgium was 6 years ago.
And Belgium's the number one team in the world right now, by the way. So just mention that.
I'm not saying the U.S. is going to be there, but if you think about the things that Belgium had going on, where their players were playing, the way that they were coming through, I think that's the high end of what U.S. could potentially be going through right now. The question is, where's that next phase of people coming in? They're going to be ready in 2 years. Like that's where we start looking right now. The next 2 years are set. The next actually longer than that is set. But as the Jordan Morrises phase out, as whoever's going to be our center back, or Jonathan Brooks, I don't know if he has another World Cup in him after this one. We have to start saying, where's that next level? That's great. Chris Richards is coming up. There's still some guys out there. The question is, can U.S. keep doing this over and over and over again? Because there's plenty of countries in the world that have a golden moment. But you really want to have a golden generation, where it's like a full phase, maybe 2 World Cups of players. And we're definitely on the right track of going that direction.
Look, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm obviously like super freaking excited for this to see what happens.
Nicky Subban Sausage was a good pull. We didn't mention this name. If he performs, potentially Yunus Musa.
Sure. Yeah.
But he's got to start performing at a higher level than he is right now.
Well, look, he's just turned 18. He's at Valencia.
Yeah, so Gio.
What? No. I know.
Reyna.
What I'm saying is he hasn't played. Yunus Musa is not playing Champions League, right?
Yeah.
Giovanni Reyna is playing Champions League. By the way, I this happened a couple days ago, and we haven't gotten to it. And I want to mention this. So the Player of the Year nominees came out for U.S. Soccer. You know how they do every year, and it's been a weird year. And how can you possibly judge fairly? Whatever. Everybody's played like 2 games, but I just want to go through them very quickly because there's I saw a graphic today, and I don't know if it's legitimate, and I'll have to mention it here after we get to this. The Women's National Team Player of the Year nominees: Abby Dahlkemper, Crystal Dunn, Lindsey Horan, Samantha Mewis, and Kristen Press. By the way, Kristen Press injured, we think. Yes,
we think hasn't played in the last 2 Man United women's games. Is
Man United, is that right? Come over there and like, what are you doing? Are you hurting our people?
In the meantime, Tobin Heath's Player of the Month.
They don't. By the way, Kristen Press doesn't need me to go beat people up for her. She can totally beat people
out of
up.
That list. I'm going with Sam Mewis.
Okay, that's fair. Again, it's 2020. You could pick out of a hat. I think it would be fair. Yeah. And you mentioned this. Was it the Guardian that put out that list? Somebody put out a list. I don't know. FIFA did, right?
Of Women Player of the Year or something like that.
The top women player in the world, and not one single American in the top 10. Like, what are you?
You got to think that Lindsey Horan or Sam Mewis are going to be in that list, and they're not. That's crazy to me.
When you're talking to me,
Sam Mewis made that jump overseas like it was nothing.
I will stand for Crystal Dunn, but okay, it's neither here nor there. That's the U.S. Women's National Team Men's Player of the Year nominees: Tyler Adams, Serginho Dest, Weston McKennie, Jordan Morris, Christian Pulisic, Jossie Zardes.
So it's all of 2020. So you got to go Christian Pulisic, I think, in this, just because of that outburst over the summer. And I don't know. For me, that's with you could make the case for Gio Reyna late in the year, but I still would go Pulisic.
Tyler Adams scored a goal in a Champions League quarterfinal to get his team in the semi. Just saying.
He also only starts like every other week.
Okay, but it's, by the way, that's an okay situation. Let's not turn that into
okay. But is that Player of the Year caliber?
I know. I'm just saying.
Take us to DEFCON 3.
I think people are freaking out a little bit. I don't know. It's weird because we have all these other good things happening, and so Tyler Adams kind of stands out as this difference. Like, there's a difference, and it's because he's not playing every week. It's okay. That's a very good team over there. He's still getting time. I'm not worried about Tyler Adams. The reason I bring this up, here it is. The Young Male Player of the Year. This is true. I thought it might have been somebody trying to pull my whatever. What do you pull when you
finger?
Is it pull my finger? No, that's
chain.
No, not chain.
Yanking my chain. What are you saying? What's the sentence? Use it in
I'm
a sentence again.
not yanking. Are you yanking? You're not over there yanking.
Not right now.
All right. Young Male Player of the Year. So obviously this is age dependent, right? You have to probably be under 20. I don't know. Brendan Aronson, Mark McKenzie, Giovanni Reyna, Chris Richards, and Yunus Musa. Yunus Musa is on this list. Now, I'm thinking that this is like, hey, man, look at what we did. We put you on this list. Check us out.
What you're looking at is the world football equivalent of courting a football player to a college. You know, like, hey, bring him over to campus. We'll get a couple co-eds to take him out.
This is Heath Ledger singing the song in 10 Things I Hate About You. That's what this is.
I love you, baby.
I didn't sing the song. Okay, that's fine. You can sing. You want to sing? It's not a song you can sing in a lower register, right? You have to go up high.
And if it's quite all right, I'll let you, baby.
Now you're a lounge singer. Can we get the Rhodius and the Holiday Inn Express?
There's a part of me that has always wanted to be a lounge singer so bad. Like here's a question for you.
Yeah.
If you're doing karaoke, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Okay, so I've never actually done karaoke. It's never happened.
What?
I've always been way too shy. Okay. It's only later in my life that I've thought, hey, I have a decent voice in certain registers. I'm not going crazy. I'm not going to belt anything. I'm not Michael Bolton. Okay. I'm not belting anything out. Anyway, but I think that my sweet spot is Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think that's my sweet spot.
To give you an idea of how badly I've always wanted to be like a lounge singer, my go-to song is Delilah by Tom Jones. Right now, Nick's wondering what's that song. He doesn't even know probably.
No,
I felt the knife in my hand and she laughed.
Come here. Nick.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
All right. So as the Sausage King of Chicago, Nicky Soup and Sauce, if you were singing, I don't know if you do karaoke. Maybe that's the thing he does. Maybe you do a lot of karaoke. Maybe you're out there in Toledo, like singing up a storm. But if you had to pick a song, what would your song be?
I've done karaoke one time in my life. It was at a wedding. The first summer I met my girlfriend, now wife,
I was like,
at her aunt's wedding. And I got up on stage and I sang.
Stop. Go back to the girlfriend.
I almost feel like we should try to guess.
No. Okay. So you give me the story one more time. I just want to make sure I understand.
Okay. So it was the summer. This was back in 2003, summer of 03.
Uh-huh.
I was dating my girlfriend, who is now my wife.
How long you've been dating?
4 or 5 months.
You went 4 or 5 months in
to a wedding.
You went to a wedding for
her aunt's wedding,
and you sang karaoke at this wedding.
I got up on stage and I sang karaoke at this wedding.
My man Nick's got some moves like that.
I mean, that's a baller move. Can I guess real quick what the song was?
Thomas says, I think this one's hilarious, by the way. Thomas says, my heart will go on.
All right, I'd say 2003.
Oh man.
I say Nick got up there and did like Butterfly by Crazy Town.
That's a good song.
Maybe he did Sugar Ray. Could he
Oh.
have done some Sugar Ray? Could he have done? Hold on.
He just wants to fly.
He did a country song. Come on, he did a country
Nick
song.
did a country song. You're
He
right.
did a country song.
Boot Scoot Boogie.
Boots, scoot, and boogie. Could you do that? What'd you do?
Was country.
What'd you do?
I did Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain.
No, you did not. You did?
In front of my whole
I
my
know you
wife's
don't
whole
drink
family.
anymore, Nick, but how much did you drink that night?
Not that much.
So he's
Okay.
this is I love this move. This is the steer into the silliness of it, because then he's beyond reproach. Because then no matter how bad he's saying it, he's still saying a Shania Twain song. That is baller as hell. That is
Okay, so, geez,
using your brain.
You're telling me that you've never got with a group of other men and saying you've lost that loving feeling to a girl?
I've done that.
No.
At a
Okay.
wedding. I did that
At a wedding. Yeah, we did it at my wedding. Yeah, we did that.
Cliche ass thing that a bunch of white guys can do. Is
Oh,
sing.
but still, I mean, come on, like that, it's still something you got to do.
I know.
That's the song we used to sing on our way home from when I was in high school on the bus coming home from a football game. We would sing that song,
Man,
but
I feel
not
like
to
we're doing
girls.
I will sing in my house quite a bit. My kid hates it. He thinks it's annoying. I embarrass him. I sing a lot though. I got to think about some songs. I do.
So you got a shower song then?
I sing the hook to Hooked on a Feeling a lot. I sing that a lot.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, like, when we finally get together, we do a meetup and we have our disc golf tournament.
Ooh.
When we have our disc golf tournament as a meetup, we're gonna have a karaoke machine as well.
Can we do like Zoom karaoke? Is that possible? Is that a thing people do? That's probably not good, right?
I got the mic and the
could be
pipes
done.
for it.
Right.
Could be done.
I would probably bust out some Michael Bublé.
Oh my God, you would? You would?
Nick, how do I hang
Michael
out with
Bublé.
you?
I can do Michael Bolton. What's that one song that he made? Like, what was his big hit?
He had a few
They're
of
all
them,
the
didn't he?
same. I don't know. Like, love is a I don't know.
Nobody in the chat's gonna know the Michael Bolton song from back.
No
in
one
the
should know the Michael Bolton song in the
They
chat.
should. Hootie and the Blowfish. What about
Oh,
that
God.
one?
Hold My Hand. That's a good one. I like that song.
Hold my hand. No, I don't know it for this. Okay, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, it's look what's happening.
All right,
Talk
tonight
about
you need
bringing
to go.
the show to a
okay,
scratching halt.
Nick, you need to go listen to Delilah by Tom Jones.
I know the song.
Did you say
Okay.
scratching halt?
Screeching halt is what I meant to say.
Yeah, and by the way, it's pull your leg. Somebody was pulling my leg, not yanking my chain or my whatever other things you were talking about.
Finger.
Yanking. Yeah, none of those things. Or my
Your
ear.
hang down.
My hang down. All right. People are coming with their songs. You guys are gonna have to get in the Slack if you're a bestie. And we're gonna have to really bust this.
I think that's my jam thread on Slack is gonna be full of people's karaoke songs now.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be fun. All right. Any other business before we get to some show stuff here, or what?
Like you kind of said already, at the $20 Patreon level, we want to make sure we do something for people at that high level. So we will be starting to allow people into the StreamYard pre-show, post-show, see all the behind-the-scenes stuff, see the private chat that what Nick sends to us all show long.
Jared, I'm gonna have to request that you wear a shirt for the pre-show once these people. I don't think it's really cool.
But pants are still optional.
I mean, if we don't have the camera level, but you can't. You have to be careful about how. I don't know where your camera
As
level.
long as they don't get excited, it won't be in the shot.
So here's the thing that's going to happen on the next bonus show. And I was asking about soccer business. Is there any other like actual soccer news that we should cover? But that's okay. We can move on. We've covered a lot tonight.
I mean, Christopher Pulisic injured again.
Yeah.
Potentially ready for Tuesday. We'll see.
Okay. Well, I mean, does he get one? Does he get it when he's hurt?
I mean, he's still the Wonder Boy. I mean, whether he lives up to it or not, that's the question.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now. If you're in the chat opening up old wounds, no, I'm sorry. We're not doing that. Don Fredo wants to bring up Big
By
time.
the way, that is probably the greatest like meme conversation we've ever had on this show. Was the Jimmy World versus Big Timers?
By the way, I'm happy to concede defeat. Okay, it was really just fun on the show, and then people on Twitter
they got passionate.
They got angry with me. I was like, "What? I'm just saying I like Big Timers back in the day. Whatever. They had great songs. Come on."
I just love that we had graphs in Slack.
I know.
Google Trends.
People were pulling data.
I know. I mean, it was more data there. There was more data to support that than there was the election fraud.
I know, right? Exactly. You got to court with some of that stuff and argue about Big Timers and Jimmy World. All right. By the way, I didn't give this. I gave him old babies. I have to also make that a thing. That's one of my favorite things about Giovanni Reyna, that I have turned him into G-Funk. Now, on the best bonus show coming up, the next one that drops for all the Patreon people, patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. I'm going to open the package I got from Jay Rodius.
You touch my package?
I'm going to touch I'm going to touch your package and open up your package and then reach inside your package.
You're going to be surprised by my package.
I'm going to pull some stuff out of your package is what's going to happen here. So I'm going to do that on the bonus show. We'll have a video version of the bonus show up. By the way, we do that. The podcast version and the video version of the bonus show, both available to Patreon subscribers. What else?
It's my disc in a box.
Oh no, how do I feel about that? Oh my god!
Holding crib in the chat inspired me.
I'm so conflicted. Oh my god.
Jay Rodius.
I think I'll allow it. I think I will allow it. I think I think that's pretty good.
It's sustained.
It's not a box. It's a soft.
It's a package.
Shaking it like a Christmas present.
I had to set it in a padded package. I didn't want anything to get messed up for you.
There's lots of padding in your package. You pad your package?
Sometimes. I mean, you want an impressive bulge.
Yeah. You want it to. All right.
I was watching. I let my kids watch Dodgeball the other day, and there's a number of things I forgot about in that movie, including when he like inflates his cod piece, like to make it look. And my boy is like, "Why does he want it to look big?"
There's some questionable stuff in there. Although,
oh yeah, I found out on the fly.
You Made Me Bleed My Own Blood is still one of the funniest.
Oh, they laughed at that for sure.
And then when
the beating that Justin Long takes was very entertaining to them.
When Rip Torn says "drink your own pee," it's
it tastes good and it's sterile. It tastes good.
It's sterile and it tastes good. Yeah. All right, we gotta get out of here. Any other business? Oh, Nick, okay. I will say this: Nick does not have a new review, but we did have a review that didn't disappeared off the iTunes page. Oh. So I think there might have been a typo or two. So shout out to Patrick B. Moore. I think that was who it was. I read it. It was very good. It talked about my kid not being in the open anymore. I've put my kid back in the open. So there it is. The best soccer show in the whole world.
Yeah, leave some reviews. We need some new ones. We're freshening them up, and we'll read the newest one next week on the show.
Help us get back to the top of the mountain where we used to be, as Alexi Lalas was so kind to point out that we were one time at the top.
He should really stop his show and help us get
if he could just plug our show
reference to us
a couple of times during his program, but during his podcast, I think that would be nice, right? I think you should do that.
I mean, that'd be nice. I mean, right. I appreciate it. Shout out to Alexi Lalas. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Alexi for coming on.
Legend.
Speaking of the man, all right, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Danger zone!
Damn, Tom.
Coordinate. You got to coordinate. Who asked those questions?
Finish him.
What have you done for me lately?
I wouldn't be caught dead in a sweater vest.
Oh, it's incredible!
The horror show.
Get to the chopper! Get to the chopper!
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Jay Rodius.